the age of Aquarius, the 50th Jubilee.
This collection of videos was created for one purpose, to help you come back to yourself. Not the self shaped by the world, but the self you were born with. Whole, wise, powerful, and enough.
All right, let's get right into it. What we're about to cover, this is not a theory. It's not a forecast. We are breaking down the operational blueprint for the final disclosure. This is the fully orchestrated step-by-step delivery of absolute truth. This is the playbook, so listen closely. So first things first, you have to understand the core concept here. It's called the final production. Every event that's about to happen, and to most people it's going to look like complete and utter chaos, is actually part of a meticulously controlled military operation. Nothing is random. It is all a grand production with one single goal: to wake up humanity. And this right here, this is the headline for the entire show. A total white hat/GAA production. Now, we'll get into exactly what those terms mean in a second, but the main takeaway is this. What looks like the world falling apart is actually a strategic, military-grade takedown of the old parasite system. And get this, that system is already gone. We're just watching the final scenes of the movie play out. So who exactly is running this thing? Who are the producers? Well, these are the key players, the white hats. And we're not just talking about some political insiders here. No, they're described as this dedicated force of both human and, yes, ET souls who have incarnated on Earth over and over again specifically for this mission. They're the boots on the ground, working hand in glove with the Global Galactic Alliance and Space Force to execute this final phase. So what's the end game? What's the whole point? It's all a very, very delicate balancing act. The whole operation is designed to be just shocking enough to jolt the masses awake, to finally shatter that collective trance, and to completely dismantle the old parasite infrastructure. But, and this is absolutely crucial, it's designed to do all of this in a controlled way, to pull us back from the brink of a total, uncontrolled societal collapse. Think of it as a controlled demolition, not a freefall. Okay, so how do you get the undivided attention of billions of people who have been programmed their whole lives to ignore the truth? That's where this next part comes in. The 4 scare events. The plan requires a sequence of really dramatic, staged events. They're designed to be so unbelievable that they just completely override the mainstream narrative, capture everyone's attention, and force the world to question everything they thought was real. And here they are, the 4 major acts in this global play. We're talking about a worldwide communications blackout, followed by a simulated world war, then a totally mind-bending fake alien invasion, and finally symbolic energy strikes against the world's most infamous seats of power. Each one is a calculated move, designed to crank up the pressure on the collective until it finally breaks free. Let's break each one down. First up, the comms blackout. This is what creates the initial shock and silence. It forces everyone to look up from their phones. The plan is to sever the main undersea fiber optic cables, which will effectively just turn off the internet and global communications. Instantly, the old media guard will start pushing a fake story, pointing fingers at some enemy to stir up as much fear as possible. Right after the blackout, we move into the next phase, World War III theater. And the keyword here really is theater. This is not a real war. The plan calls for very limited surgical missile strikes on sites that have already been cleared out, empty buildings, symbolic locations. But the media, they're going to amplify it to make it look like we're on the edge of nuclear Armageddon. The whole point of this performance is to push the global fear level to its absolute maximum. Then, right at the peak of all that manufactured fear, they pull out the showstopper, the fake alien invasion. You may have heard this called Project Bluebeam. It's basically using advanced holographic tech, our own tech, repurposed to create these huge, totally believable illusions. The skies will literally fill with holographic fleets. Can you even imagine? The shockwave from that alone is designed to just shatter any last remaining piece of what we thought was a normal reality. And the final act of these scare events? Symbolic energy strikes. The plan says that direct energy weapons operated by the Alliance will hit 34 very specific buildings around the world. These are places that are seen as the symbolic anchors of the old power structure. We're talking the Vatican, Buckingham Palace, the White House. Within this operation, these places are considered satanic strongholds, and taking them down is a very public, very symbolic end of the old guard. So after this series of escalating, engineered chaos, the whole plan shifts gears. The scare events are meant to create this global pause, this moment where the entire world is just in shock and finally ready to hear something new. And that brings us to Section 3, the lockdown window, a period specifically for mass revelation. Now, it is so important to understand what this lockdown is and what it isn't. This is nothing like the health-related lockdowns we've seen before. No, this is a military-led stabilization effort. It's designed specifically to protect civilians and maintain order, to create a safe and calm environment for everyone to process the information that's about to be released. It's for protection, not control. So, during this 3 to 10 day lockdown, the Emergency Broadcast System, or EBS, is going to be activated globally. It's going to take over every single TV, radio, and online channel, and for 72 hours, or maybe even longer, it's going to broadcast a series of pre-made, high-def documentaries, and these will contain irrefutable proof of everything that's been hidden: the election fraud, the industrial-scale child trafficking rings, the satanic rituals of the elites, and all the evidence of their bloodline control. The whole purpose of the EBS is crystal clear, and this quote says it all. The goal is to deliver names, faces, and evidence so undeniable that it shatters the false reality of the sleepers in one single decisive blow. After this, there will be no going back. There will be no room left for doubt. You might be thinking, okay, but with these kinds of world-shattering truths being beamed into every home, how do you stop society from just completely flying apart? It's a natural question. And that brings us to our fourth section, securing the realm. This part of the plan is all about the logistics of keeping order. This slide shows a huge shift in public authority. According to the plan, all the existing police forces around the world will be officially stood down. They're out. In their place, the Earth Alliance military will become a visible presence on the streets. But here's the key difference. Their job isn't law enforcement. It's civilian protection during this transition. And let's be perfectly clear on this point. The plan is adamant. This is not oppressive martial law. Not even close. It's described as a temporary protective measure, purely to provide a secure and stable environment. The entire goal is to let people safely absorb the bombshells from the EBS broadcasts without society falling into widespread chaos and violence. And this quote right here is the ultimate reassurance. It confirms that the real battle, it's already been won. The old parasite network has been gone for years. What we are all about to witness is simply the final act of a scripted disclosure. It is not a last-ditch power grab. It's a victory lap. So we've walked through the whole global plan, from the scare events to the lockdown to the truth broadcasts. But that brings us to the final and honestly the most important part of this whole thing, your role. This is where the plan becomes personal. This is where you become a key player on the board. And so this slide asks the most important question for anyone who's hearing this. When the world is in shock, when that AI scaffolding, the automated social and media programs that run the old reality, when all of that starts to crumble, what are you supposed to do? What's your job? And here it is. This is your mission directive. Your role isn't to argue. It's not to try and preach into the noise. Your job is to be a lighthouse, a point of stability, calmly holding your ground, being that beacon of calm and clarity for everyone around you who will be totally lost in the storm as their entire world shatters. So, this is your final instruction, and it's the most powerful part of the entire plan. When the time comes, the most impactful thing you can possibly do is just stay calm. Anchor that frequency of truth. Be the lighthouse for your family, your friends, your community. This was the plan all along, and now you know your part to play.